In 1963, a young lady by the name of Jeannie won the Miss North Carolina pageant and went on to the Miss America pageant. Now, she didn't win Miss America, but she did win Miss Congeniality. She was very funny and very graceful and quite poised. She was attending Auburn University at the time, and she completed her studies there and got a degree in physical education and went on to teach for about 10 years, I think. But because of her notoriety through the pageant, she started getting speaking engagements. Well, those speaking engagements grew and grew, and she became quite popular. After college, she met a man named Jerry, and this was her second husband, and they married and were inseparable from that point forward. This lady went on to become a very well-known humorist. Now, she would call herself a humorist, not a comedian, and the reason she used that term was because she told stories. She didn't just crack jokes. And in her last performance last August at the National Speakers Association, the NSA, but not the one I was thinking of when I first heard that, the National Speakers Association, they had a convention in Las Vegas. And she spoke, I think it was almost an hour and a half, nonstop, no notes, just speaking. She was amazing. And she's such an amazing storyteller. And she shared from the stage then how that came to be that she had developed her stories. Well, she wrote everything that happened on these like yellow notepads. You know, the good old fashioned with lines and a pen. And she would write stories about things that happened in everyday life. Things with her husband, whom she referred as Left Brain, and he became known as Left Brain for her most of her career after she told a certain story about sending him to the grocery store and how he came home. So if you want to laugh, go to YouTube and look up "Never Send a Man to the Grocery Store." It is hilarious. She's so funny, but she has this southern charm. Anyways, during her last speaking engagement in August of this past year, she shared that she just wrote everything down, and she would then use that as her material. And she would take those stories and she would just tell them on stage in she just was so witty in the way that she told the stories. It was just heartwarming and lovable and really, really funny. Well, I was watching that presentation on YouTube. I was watching her last address, and it said Jeannie Robertson's last engagement. And so I watched the whole thing and I loved it. And come to find out, her husband, Left Brain, otherwise known as Jerry, had passed away like less than 2 months prior to this. Anyways, she went and gave this talk, even though her doctor had told her not to, but she really felt compelled to do so. And she did an amazing job. Well, a couple weeks later, she took ill and she passed away. And when I listened to the memorial service, and the gentleman who gave the address shared that she passed away quietly in her home from a short illness, not COVID related. It was a short illness. I don't know what it was. She was 77 at the time, I believe. Does that make sense? No, she must have been, 77, yeah. Anyways, but when she passed away, she was in her bed, surrounded with these notepads. She was still writing stories and writing material for her next tour. She just didn't stop. And I just thought about how effective and how important stories are. And I kind of do the same thing, but now I am inspired to do it much more diligently and be a little bit more intentional about it. Writing down stories, because funny stuff happens all the time. And in the moment, it's hilarious, and then you think, oh, I gotta remember to say that. I gotta remember to tell somebody that, and then you forget it. So I just want to encourage you, when stuff happens, there's probably at least one funny thing that happens every day. Write it down and use that as material to share your story with people that you care about and people in your sphere of influence. And I guarantee it will make a difference in your life and in theirs. Take care, and God bless.